And then I just wanted to mention as well, because we haven't had it mentioned when we're talking about lane assist, for any of you out there as well that have got new vehicles on order, you may have seen, for example, at the moment, because lane assist is a bit of an issue through the factory at the moment, and this is to do with part shortages. They're having problems with the actual technology and the parts that's needed for lane assist. And this is something you can at the moment have removed from your order on California to speed that order process up. Hi everybody, Q&A time again. If you've got any questions we haven't done, pop them in the comments box below obviously, and then we can add them into our next one that's coming on there. So, first question is from David. David's obviously, that sounds a bit interesting, in a Grand 600. And he's asking about the bulb on the front of a 600 and why it's not on a 680. So that bulb on the 600 is purely designed there to give that sleeping compartment, so it's to give you the headroom in the sleeping compartment upstairs, so where you've got the additional bed. Now obviously if you don't have that bed, because it is an option, you get storage space in there, but rather than having to change the entire design of the vehicle so that you wouldn't have a different roof design if you weren't having it, obviously they've kept it the same. So that bulb is purely designed to give you the extra headroom that you need, so you can have the sleeping pod as an option in that top half of that particular vehicle that's there. Also mentioned, David, about the 4Motion on the 600. So my understanding on the reason they don't do the 4Motion variation is to do with the weight of the vehicle. So as you probably know, on the 600 there is two different weight classes. So there's the 3.5 tonne vehicle, which is by far the most popular one, and then there's the 3.88 tonne version. And really the difference between those you're getting is the additional payload. But my understanding is with the four-wheel drive version, that would again restrict your payload on the vehicles to keep them within their weight class of the vehicle. Now obviously on the long wheelbase version that's on there, so on the 680, you can get a four-wheel drive version of that, but obviously there's less in that vehicle because you haven't got the bulb on top of the vehicle with all that extra weight that's there as well, that's with the vehicle. So I'm pretty sure, tell me if anybody out there knows it's a different reason that's on there, let us know, but my understanding is the 4Motion thing is to do with that. I'm sure as well it might also, you find with these things, have something to do with licensing laws. I know that's one of the reasons why the 680 is only a 2-berth rather than a 4-berth, for example, because I'm sure they probably could get that combination if you wanted to, but that's to do with licensing laws, I believe, in Germany about how many carrying passengers you've got and the tonnage of the vehicle there. So I hope that's kind of answered those kind of questions for you. So unfortunately at the moment there isn't a 600 with a four-wheel drive option that's there. So Alg, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, has asked about ULEZ, so ultra low emission zone, for those that don't know what that stands for. There's a few of these popped up. The one that everybody pretty much knows is in London, and that's a zone in London, and depending on how much emissions your vehicle permits depends on whether you're actually even allowed in that zone or not. So current regulations on those are for diesels, it's Euro 6 compliant vehicles, and for petrols it's Euro 4. And you were asking about the new campers. So all the new campers, yes, do qualify because they're all Euro 6 compliant. Volkswagen has Euro 6 compliant for diesels for a couple of years now, so it's nothing new that's in there. Noel has asked about the ACC, and I'm going to give you half an answer because I don't know all the answers. I'm going to have to go and find out about this one, Noel, for you, so I'm going to come back to you on this. But Noel had asked about the ACC when it stops the car. Will it actually just start moving again? Now, I believe that it does not, and that you do need to press the accelerator to get the ACC to reactivate and start going once it's actually stopped. So a good example of that is the traffic comes to a dead stop on a motorway, the ACC kicks in and it stops you to where you actually need to be. And the reason I say that is because 9 times out of 10 at that point I always put my foot on the brake. So obviously then that stops all that systems anyway, and obviously to move forward again you'd have to press the accelerator for it to move back on again and get it reactivated. However, between this Q&A and the next Q&A, I'm going to go and try this, and just to make sure 100% that is how it works, and if not, I will see whether it actually does start to go off again and move on from on there as well. So luckily we've got some private bit in our car park around the back that's in here, which we can use. I've got the road up at Liverpool to use, and I can follow somebody up there in a safe manner and see if we can actually get that to work and make sure that it does do and give you the right information. So half an answer for you there, and we'll come back to you on that as well. Now somebody asked, I don't know who this was, but asked to reference the multivan. So they're asking whether the multivan is a car or commercial vehicle, and this was for HMRC purposes, you actually said, for benefit in kind, I think is what you mentioned on the questions that's on there. Whenever you go to a Volkswagen garage, they'll always say to you, and I'm going to say the same thing to you, we're not tax advisors, we can't advise you on taxation of any description. The only thing I will say is the multivan is a car. There's no getting away from that. That is a car. It's an M1 status vehicle, and what that means is it's something which comes up on the V5. So an M vehicle is a passenger vehicle technically, and anything N is a commercially rated vehicle. Benefit in kind is a very, very complex issue as far as what does and doesn't get benefit in kind that's on there as well. Commercial vehicles are rated differently to cars, so you have a different banding system that's there as well, and then you have the added complications of things like, for example, with the multivan, you've got the hybrid version as well, which has a much lower CO2 emissions. So again, without getting into complicated things from on there, the benefit in kind, for example, on a diesel multivan is hugely different to the benefit in kind on a hybrid multivan vehicle that's on there. So we'll get some advice. The best way to do it, as well as if you want to get some clear pictures for you as well, if you go onto the .gov website, you can actually do a tax calculation that's on there as well. So you put things like the CO2 emissions and the price of the vehicle that's on there, and it'll actually work out what your benefit in kind variations are that's on there as well. Question from Mike. Mike was asking reference the California options for the comfort mattress. Now, on a lot of the options is you'll get a long options list, and it'll give you a long description of something. So the comfort mattress, I think, starts with bed extension, with provided with comfort top mattress or something like that. It gives it from on there. So the bed extension side of it, because that's what Mike was asking about, what's the bed extension? Well, the bed extension is what you get as standard. So that's basically that bit in the back, which you get on every California that's there, which you're going to, and that's the actual extension. So it's an extension 2, for example, like the California in here. So you've got a bit of the bed here, a bit of the bed here, and then you'd have a bit which would be in here if you were lying down, and that's the extension side of it. And it's just that it's worded with that extra bit that's on the back of it. You tend to find with a lot of options is you could just put comfort mattress. That would make it life simple for everybody. It would be nice and easy. Everybody would know what it means, but that isn't necessarily what its description is when it actually comes from the factory. There'll be a reason for it, I'm sure, but as I said before, it is simplified obviously if it just says comfort mattress and you know what that is. Last couple of questions. You mentioned about lane assist and whether that will also work with gusts of wind. Well, the simple answer is yes, it would, because if that gust of wind pushes your vehicle outside of the lane it should be in, your vehicle will nudge, as it would do, and pop you back into that lane. Obviously, with something like a gust of wind, if it's very strong, it could move you out as well. We have got things like crosswind assist. This first came out on the Crafters, because obviously that's a really big vehicle. So, you know, if you're travelling over an exposed area, that was something which is standard on the Crafter model. And again, that uses the same kind of technology, so it's moving that and then moves you back into that lane. As you will know, if you're using or ever used lane assist, if you do push it hard enough, it will take you out of that lane and come back. We're not quite in the position of not having to hold the steering wheel at the moment. Even with the some of the manufacturers have really got the self-driving nearly done that's there. You've still got to have your hand on the steering wheel, if ever so slightly loosely on the steering wheel, to give you that control. So yes, it should bring you back into line on the using the lane assist system. But obviously, depending on the weather that's out there, there's lots of different degrees of wind obviously be careful and don't rely on those systems that's there as well. And then I just wanted to mention as well, because we haven't mentioned when we're talking about lane assist, for any of you out there as well that have got new vehicles on order, you may have seen, for example, at the moment, because lane assist is a bit of an issue through the factory at the moment, and this is to do with part shortages. They're having problems with the actual technology and the parts that's needed for lane assist. And this is something where you can at the moment have removed from your order on California to speed that order process up. I thought it's worth just mentioning it because in theory anybody who's got a California order currently in at the moment should in theory have been contacted probably right now. They were originally just doing the next ones that are coming in the batch and give you the option to remove it if you wanted to, and obviously there'd be a slight reduction in price if you remove it, and then that vehicle will go through. I know they've now extended that to anybody, I think, who's pretty much got a California Ocean on order, because I think the delays on that particular section is going to be quite some time, I think, on that as well. So I'm sure that if you've got one on order, you've probably already had a conversation with your dealers, reference that anyway. But that is an option now to have that option removed from the vehicle, and then obviously the vehicle will probably get built a bit quicker for it to come through as well. And then final question today came from Chris, who was asking about options on the multivan, and it's a nice and easy one for you because in the next couple of weeks I've got a multivan options video coming. So we're going to do our usual thing where we sit down and go through the options line by line on the multivan. So we're going to take the brochure as we've done before and our ordering system. We'll explain what each of the actual options are, what it actually means, what do you get for those options in there. So that video is coming up very shortly, so we'll see that in the next couple of weeks as well. So I hope that's answered all the questions that you've had. That's the ones that we've pulled together that's in there. Keep sending those questions in, keep making those comments, and we'll put them out in the Q&A sessions again so we can get those to you as well. So if you have, give us a thumbs up, give us a like. If you don't subscribe to the channel, please subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.